Hello everyone. So we want to know, how do we get from a pile of crumbs to a nice cute little flower block? Stay tuned. So remember the crumbs that we started with, which are strips of material, discarded pieces, small pieces that you think you would never use. Well, that is what is going to make our flower block. So here I am, I'm searching through. You can see I have strips of material, I have little small blocks. I'm going through that. But what I'm mostly looking for are the small pieces. This is just a little portion of my crumbs, of my scraps and strips and crumbs of material. But I'm looking for tiny pieces like the pink here. You may think, oh, we can't use that. It's so small. Just throw it away. But those little small pieces, that's what make the block so interesting. The yellow, it's crumbled up so you really can't see how big it is. So sometimes you may need to press your pieces open. And here, that one looks a little crumbly and stringy, but I'm sure if it's pressed open you can get a better look. I love the little pink pieces. So I'm just showing you a little portion of my crumbs, my scraps of material. Pink polka dot with pink with black dots. Isn't that cute? And here's another crumbled piece. How big is that piece? You would not know unless you opened it up or pressed it out. So a lot of us don't like to start or press, but in this little, I'm making maybe a small quilt, so I will press out some of the pieces so I can get an idea of how big they are. Doesn't that purple look delicious? That's going to be in one of my flowers. So I have pressed out some of the scraps, some of the crumbs, and I have my yellow strip here that I will add another crumb or scrap of material to. As you can see, this one has green, red, and a light blue or background material in it. I'm going to adjust the camera so you guys can see better. Excuse me. I know sometimes that makes some people a little dizzy. But when you start beginning to learn how to videotape for YouTube, you're sort of in the process of learning and demonstrating. So bear with me, guys. I'm just getting into this. It's sort of new for me. So I'm sewing my crumbs together. Isn't that polka dot piece, darling? And here I'm going to add this little teeny piece of lavender on top. I'm finding small pieces to attach to our polka dot. Even this little strip of pink. It's going to work, guys. You'll see. You can see my pile on the side of the sewing machine. I'm poking through that pile. And I found a piece that I can add to the yellow that I'm sewing on. So, and this is a form of chain sewing, which you take one strip after the other, one piece after the other, and you're in a assembly line sewing. So it helps to save thread. It helps to save time. So I found another green piece, a piece of crumb. That one I had to iron out just to see how big it was. That little section can get caught in your machine, under your needles. So we want to, don't mess around with those pieces. Sort of cut it off. Cut it off and have a nice edge to so put under your needle. Found another of that purple. So this is what we mean about crumb sewing. These are crumbs. They're mostly little small pieces, square, different types of rectangular. Crumbs can also, they're not necessarily small. They can be bigger also. And you can see this is the beginning of the block that I have. And here in the picture you can see where each color material is. And I'm showing you, I'm going to add a piece to that section. And see the little sliver, cut that off because it can get caught in your sewing machine. And I am using a 1.4 stitch length. I took it down a little bit smaller because you want these pieces to stay together. They're going to have a lot of stress on each side, and you want to keep the little small pieces together. So make a smaller stitch length. And I have a 1/4 seam allowance. You don't want to go any lower than that because you will find that maybe your pieces will begin to pull apart because you don't have any, the 1/8 is just too little. You don't have anything for this thread to grab on, and so you don't want to go before lower than 1.4. I mean a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And here's a block I'm showing you that I'm building up. I want to say this is a circular. It's not circular because I want to keep the block sort of on some of the sides a little square portions of it. So it's not a typical circle. I don't know if it's I'm not sure of the shape. I want to say a hexagonal circle, new word. If any of my fellow quilters know what shape these flowers are in, please leave a little comment and let me know. And here's a portion of our flower. You can see the green and the purple are lavender. I'm sort of trimming it up to introduce another piece of material. And I love that hot pink. See, these are pieces we would have thrown away. They can be built up into a block. And if anyone wants to know how I got the stem to bend, well, I found some discarded bias tape that I had, which I made from green material, and I sprayed it with starch and double rolled it in half, put the raw edges together, and then folded it again, and then I laid it on. I put it on the ironing board, but as I ironed, I sort of gradually bent the bias tape into a gradual curve. And because you have starch in it, it'll stay in that particular shape that you've ironed it in. And that's how I got the stem to curve. Yeah, so this is coming along really well. I'm not sure if I want the background to be white or a beige. I will decide. So I'm sort of auditioning the different backgrounds. So here is an example of our chain sewing. So I'm cutting the pieces away, and you can see our block where exactly our pieces are. So in the picture I have there, and this brings about our hippopotamus. Isn't that cute? I love the hippopotamus. So he's gonna live the rest of his life on the flower here. See those little pieces you would have thrown away? I didn't fussy cut. I just, these are scraps, and I rescued them from the trash can. But our hippopotamus is going to be happy there on the flower. I just love the pink and black polka dots. I have a lot of that material left. Use what you have. That's I believe our quilters of the past, they had that thought in mind to make do of what you have. What can you make out of what you have? What can you use to make it work? And that's my sort of idea, attempting to make our flower box. I have so many bags of scraps and crumbs, so in my mind I kept saying, what can I do to use what I have? If I find that I need something else to make this work, then I can buy just what I need, but use what you have. And so our blocks have gotten a little bit bigger, and there's our hippopotamus. I'm finger pressing. We're cutting our angles, and we want to get the piece ready to introduce another strip of material. And remember, there is not a rule or way. It's just the way you feel. It's what you want to do, what color you want to put on. It does not matter. Art is free. When you are free to create without rules, what you create is so special. It's one of a kind. So remember to finger press as much as you can, and trim away what you may not need. You can put all yellow around. It does not matter. I want you to feel free to add whatever color you want. If you did want to just go with all yellows, that would be a different way. It would probably be cute also. It would. So I turned it over, this material over, because I cut a little curve in there, and I wanted to make sure that every piece of that material would be sewn, because I don't want it to pull away. I don't want it to, you get your quilt up and you wash it, and all of a sudden you have little sections that weren't sold or didn't have enough seam allowance. I've had a quilt, several quilts like that. So 1/4 seam allowance, 1.5. Especially with our crumbs, they're going to take a lot of stress on every end, you know. So just enjoy the process. And voila, look what we have. It's sort of circular, oblong shape. It does not matter. What you find beautiful, someone else in this world will find it beautiful also. Just be free to make your blocks. Aren't they cute with the pops of color, the different directions? It doesn't matter, just how you feel. How does it make you feel? If you're satisfied, that's what counts. And here are all the little pieces and one block all together. Just enjoy yourself. So I'm still deciding how I want to lay this out, but thank you for watching, everyone. Thank you for coming along with me. Thank you for seeing my creativity. Stay tuned for more. If you like my video, please like, share, and subscribe, and write me a little comment. Let me know how I'm doing so that I can continue on making videos. I'm in this crumb quilt mood, so happy crumb quilting. See you next time. Bye-bye.